Okay, we're live, and as the audience is well aware, we're always a little bit behind them. So, Steve, you can go ahead and refresh my page, and then whenever you let me know you're done sharing, we'll begin.
I am there.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome to episode 16 of the Practical Magic Show. The Practical Magic Show takes people who create things so wild that to the rest of the world it looks like magic. And then this show is sort of the Penn and Teller, where we talk about the trick and then we reverse engineer how you do it so that the guests can walk away with practical tools to create magic in their own worlds. So our show today is with Steve Sims, who I'm super excited to have present. And the topic is creating anything through ignorance. So Steve, congratulations, by the way, because you were just listed as the California Herald's one of the top 10 business coaches to watch out for in 2021. You've been called the Wizard of Oz by Forbes magazine. You create the craziest stories through your business, Blue Fishing. And that book, Blue Fishing, was a huge inspiration for the back end magic of this show. So thank you. And something that would be fun to share is that we do share a job title from our past, which is bricklayer. I was actually a bricklayer while I was backpacking in Australia. So thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I love when I ask, because, and we just talked a little bit about this a minute ago before the show kicked off. You said, there's one perception of me in the world, and then there's who I really am. And I love that when we talked a couple of months ago to book this show, I asked you what your magical superpower was. And I had all these ideas of what I thought you were going to say. And then you said ignorance, which was never going to make the list. So can you talk a little bit about how ignorance is a superpower?
Yeah, and how people crush it. When you're ignorant to something, it means you don't acknowledge it. And it's usually classed as an uneducated, viewpoint. But ignorance can also be bliss. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed when someone talks to a celebrity, they're intimidated, they bow, okay? But the celebrity's the same as you. When you speak to a rich person, you want to be able to do business with them, but the first thing you do is put them on a pedestal, which pushes them away from you. Mm-hmm. So we're taught these things to do, which are actually our downsides. So with me, ignorance was good for me because I didn't have a brilliant education at school. I wasn't surrounded by money. I wasn't therefore surrounded by all the trappings and the myths and misconceptions of what success actually looked and felt like. I had to find out for myself. Mm-hmm. So whenever I would go into a meeting, I'd be like, hey, well, this sounds great, but why are you doing that? Now, everyone else had been taught, no, you don't ask that question because that's rude. But the cheeky little kid in the corner was just asked that question directly. And do you know the funny thing is, 9 times out of 10, the person I'm asking would be like, that's a great question. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to know why we're doing it so that we can do it properly. And they'll be like, oh, that's good. We're built up with all of these kind of, as I say, misconceptions of what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do. And, oh, you don't do that. That's for other people. But that ignorance gets you through every single piece of that.
That's really fascinating because it's so true. I mean, I associated, previous to this, the word ignorance with some sort of like a character flaw, or a moral imperfection, right?
Yeah.
And so I love this reframe that it's actually a gift. And I have a 2-year-old. So it's really funny because it's funny to watch her walk through the world. She doesn't care. Like, she just does what she does. And so talk a little bit for me about, it's interesting that you say that you didn't have all these preconceptions. You didn't come from a world where there was all this preconception and misconception about success. So you had to go find out for yourself. I'm just intrigued by that, actually, because I think for myself, I can't imagine not having those preconceptions. So how do you see that showing up in the people that you coach, like these preconceptions? Like, how does that really get in their way? How does that hold them back?
It's baggage. Luckily, I came from an area of England that we weren't wealthy. We also didn't see wealth. I live here now just outside of Los Angeles, and I walked out of my restaurant that started to open up again now after COVID, one of the last bloody states to do so. And I walk out of the restaurant and there's like a Lamborghini, a Rolls Royce, and a Ferrari right by the front door. But we never had those things growing up. So I didn't know what they looked like, felt like, smelt like. I didn't know anything. Now, the beautiful thing about not knowing was you didn't care. Over here, people care about what they drive because it's got to stack up against someone else.
Yeah.
Well, that's when that ignorance becomes bliss again, because I don't give a shit. I'm riding around. I don't have a car. I ride around on motorcycles absolutely everywhere. And if you go back to my period, which is slightly different to yours by about 25 years, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, I didn't have social platforms to validate how inadequate my life was. Now I've got my boy's like 16 years old, knows every single designer, knows every single watch brand, knows all the ostentatious trappings of what a wealthy rapper looks like and is wearing. I never had any of that. I didn't know. I also didn't care. So when you're actually coaching people now, especially as they try to get into it, they listen to all the wrong people, and so they go, wow, I've got this business. I've got to brand myself. How do I brand myself? Well, I rent a car that I don't own, and I'm going to lean up against it, and I'm going to get a picture of me on a private jet that's never left the bloody tarmac. We've got all of these kind of parameters and these checklist things that everyone does that says, hey, if you're wearing this, you're credible. If you're driving that, you must be successful. And what these are is they're just a shine, and shine fades. We've got to get down to the substance. So when I'm working with someone, I look at why they did something, not what they've done, why they did it. Why did you build the website like that? What were you trying to do? What were you trying to get your voice out? What is it you actually do? And the daft thing is, you'll be absolutely stunned how many people offer a service and then confuse the shit out of their clients by providing a website that mystifies and over-articulates and or overcomplicates what the problem is that they are the solution to. And today, we're pissed off. Today, we're actually aggravated. We've had COVID. We've been in lockdown. We're scared shitless of having conversations. Someone says black to me and people go, whoa, we can't talk about it. Asian hate, Me Too campaigns. There's a lot of conversations we need to be having today, but people are not having. So they're getting scared. They're getting aggravated. They're getting distracted. So when they see something that confuses them, they walk away from it. No one confused will ever give you that credit card. So when I work with clients, I go, okay, who's the avatar? Who's got the problem that you are the solution to, and how do you communicate with them? That's all it gives a shit. I don't care how good your CRM is. Don't care how good your ClickFunnels campaign is. Don't care how pretty your website is. If you don't have a client, you're still fucked. You're still broke. So we focus on the most impactful, direct route to get your solution to the people that have the problem, and then multiply from there. And people are overcomplicating it. They're also scared. We're scared of looking, scared of looking stupid, scared of not looking intelligent, scared of looking like what we don't know. Well, let me break it down. The bottom line of it is, you don't know a lot. And everything you do starts off by being shit. Now, Vanessa, the first time you ever did a podcast, the absolute first time, how crap was that?
It wasn't the best. In fact, especially if you go back on my YouTube channel a few years, even my clients now are like, that's really bad. I'm like, I know.
So you published it?
Oh, yeah, I leave it there. All
right, good for you. Good for you. I remember when I started doing my podcast, The Art of Making Things Happen, someone said to me, you've got to release 10 podcasts when you first release. Apparently, it messed up the algorithms and was good for you. So they said, so do about 18 so you've got some in the can. So I did 18 podcast episodes and I gave them to my team and I went, right, which 10 are you going to pick? And they came back and they went, we can't. We can only pick 4. So out of 18, only 4 were good. The rest of them got canned. You see, the first time we do anything, it's shit. So focus on doing and then getting better.
Mm.
Focus on the raw impact. Stop worrying about how pretty you look. Stop worrying about how bad you spell. You can get apps for that. You know, I send someone an email, I type the damn thing up, and the whole bloody page jiggers around like ants because Grammarly has just made it sound proper. And then I push send. So you don't need that. But if you try to confuse someone by trying to be someone you're not, you've lost them.
What I'm hearing that I think is sort of the undercurrent of all of that is there's such a gift in being ignorant because, like you said, not knowing also meant not caring. It doesn't, if you don't know, it doesn't mean anything. Nothing means anything. And if nothing means anything, then you can just follow action and just practice getting better. And it's like the Lamborghini doesn't mean anything to you, so it has no relevance, it has no impact. The celebrity doesn't mean anything to you, so you can just show up to that person and be in whatever conversation you need to be in. The Korean tycoon doesn't mean anything, so you can actually hear the words coming out of his mouth to like understand if there's actually business here. The rules about how to build a website and what to say and what to show don't mean anything. So you actually focus on the impact of delivering what you want to deliver. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, there's too much distraction and noise out there at the moment. And a lot of it is coming from people that are ill qualified, but just loud. So, you know, it's amazing how many people, you know, they've just sold the car. They've got $10,000. They go down to the pub and they're getting investment ideas from people that have never had $5, let alone 10 grand. And they're bloody listening to them. So you've really got to focus on the source of your information.
Mm-hmm. And I also like the idea of part of the source of your information being terrible at things and just letting that information feed back the next thing to do.
Well, that's where education is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't get better by starting good. You know, that's just scaling. Okay. We get good at things when things go wrong. You know, we try to, you know, run around the football pitch and we run out of breath. So we focus on getting healthier. Everything we do comes from discovering where we're not good at something. You know, you try to put a website together and you go, I can't build one. Now I know I can't build one, but I know what I need in a website. So now you've gained education as to what you need. See, the bottom line of it is I value and I'm proud of the mistakes that I've made. Mistakes are there to refine you, not define you, to refine you. So fail a lot, fail up, and just keep trying. But today, and this comes back to the society, and it sounds like I'm very bitter at the society we're in, and I am, and I want it to change.
Yeah.
We like to ridicule without consequence.
Mm-hmm.
We are very open about going on Twitter and criticizing people and then just walking away going, well, I've upset their day, you know, and no consequence. When I was growing up, if I upset someone in a pub, I knew about it because I got a smack in the mouth. Yeah. Now people will go on and go, well, look at her. She thinks she's smart. She thinks she's funny. She thinks she's beautiful. She's a pig, you know, and then they go about their day, you know. So we're dealing with a lot of people out there that are actually talking without consequence. That's bad. We're also frightened because of that, of revealing what we are, what we do. And we've got TV shows and internet shows where we openly laugh at people that have fallen over, walk into glass doors, walk into the water. Yeah, America's Funniest Videos is all about people falling over, getting hurt, getting smacked, and we find it hilarious. But what's that's translating into society today is that we don't want to be one of those people. We don't want to be ridiculed. We don't want to be laughed at. So we don't try. We don't reveal. We don't tell people what it is we actually want. We hold that in because that's near and dear to us and we don't want to reveal it. Well, bullshit to that. You should reveal what's important to you because there is a scary chance that you could get it. And if you're listening to these people that want to laugh at you, if you're listening to those people that write hatred on your postings and stuff like that, well, let me break it to you. They were never going to be your clients or your friends or your relationships to start with.
Very good point.
But in the old days of Bruce Lee, he said you only attack the guy with the ball, you know?
Yeah.
I made a little statement on my Instagram page a while back that said, be so successful you get haters, you know? Bring it on, you know? Don't listen to the people that are whining. They're not worth it. But it's the society we're in today.
I really appreciate that. And there's a part of me who is kind of like, oh man, I think I used to be a lot more like that. And somewhere along the way, I got a little more timid in certain places in my life and in my business. So having this reminder of fail more, fail, like the fail faster kind of mentality, you really do embody that. You really do. I remember something in the book you said, a blue fisher has, I think you gave the example of a submarine. If you sit 20 people down in a room to build a submarine, the majority are going to spend the majority of their time sketching out submarines, and you've already found 1,000 ways how to not build a submarine.
Yeah. A good friend of mine, Jay Abraham, once said to me that my ICANN is larger than my IQ.
That's
I'll take that.
brilliant. That's so brilliant. And
yeah, he is. He says smart things. He's like that. I bring him around every now and then just to make me feel inadequate.
but you embody that and if you just look at what you've created, there's a clear winner in which one's more valuable.
I believe so. We're all chasing that unicorn with 3 testicles. It doesn't exist, and it's called perfection. It's amazing. You say to someone, hey, you're going to do something for business. And what do? The first thing they do is they get out that laptop and they start building out a spreadsheet and they start building out a prospectus. I will give anyone listening to this $1 million if they can show me a business plan written and public prior to COVID that says we're going to launch, we're going to be really good, we're going to be really effective, and then we're screwed in 6 months' time when there is a pandemic. We won't do shit for another year, and then we're going to kind of like be holding our ass to see how we get on. A business plan is a direction. It's a travel map. You don't know what detours are going to come out. You don't know what bumps. You don't know what flat tires you're going to get. So stop planning so much. Have a direction. But I've always said that if your business plan takes up more than the back of a postcard, you're wasting your time. Mm-hmm. So get an idea, get a generic, but then get out quick and start doing it. Start finding it. See if it works. If you've got a product, and this is where technology is good for us. If you've got a solution today, or you think you've got a solution today that's going to be a new business, go onto Facebook, go onto LinkedIn, go onto Twitter and go, hey, I'm developing this that will solve this problem. Do you have that problem? Mm. And if no one answers you, you haven't got a business. If 10 people answer you, not only do you have demand, you've got a lead generator. Yeah. How hard is that? But you get people go, I'm going to build this business and I've got to allow, $500,000 for Facebook ads, and I've got to get some guy to write me a website that makes me look prettier and, more articulate. And I've got to go and get an MBA from, the School of Ohio or something to make me look intelligent. There's all these kind of things that people think they got to do. No. Mm. There's 2 kinds of marketing in the planet: aspirational and solution-based. When you're aspirational, you've got to build a dream and, buy this jewelry because you've made it, buy this car because it's successful. That's aspirational marketing. But today, most of us are solution-based marketing. Okay. You got a headache at 2:00 in the morning and you go in the kitchen, you grab your headache tablets. You do not look at that package and go, oh, I don't like that logo. I'm not going to use those headache tablets. I'm going to try and find. No, you care that little box is going to cure your problem. And that's as deep as you care.
Yep.
I have never seen an advert on the TV for like aspirin or Facebook ads for aspirin. Just don't see the bloody things. Okay. You got a problem. There's a solution. That's the way we should be marketing and branding and conversing today. Direct, simple, transparent, and crystal freaking clear.
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to go back a little bit to something you said, though, about when you have an idea, just run with it. Don't worry about the business plan and making all these spreadsheets and blah, 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 blah. I find that that's one group of people. Let's say there's 3. There's 3 groups of people. There's blue fishers who just run out and try it. There's the planners. And then we'll call the other ones the paralyzed. Like, I don't know what to do. Maybe there's like an idea, but there's no plan. How does that same mentality apply? They have the idea for their business. They kind of know the direction they're going, but they just can't see something to even try and fail at. What's happening there?
They may be entrepreneurs. You see, I think that there are three kinds of people in the planet. There's probably a fourth, but for me, there's only three that I'm focusing this topic on. There's the entrepreneur. Now, the entrepreneur is the person that jumps out of the frying pan into the volcano. You know, they don't overthink, they overdo, and they make mistakes. Entrepreneurs, to a point, are ignorant, reckless, creative disruptors. Okay, I'm going to try something. Shit, that didn't work. So I'll try something else. And we keep going forward. That's the entrepreneur. Okay. And I had Naveen Jan on a podcast. He's a friend of mine the other day. And he was saying the entrepreneur's world is like a heartbeat. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. The second is it's one single line, you're dead. Entrepreneurs need that flux because it's from the lows that you get greater highs. Okay. So that's the entrepreneur. There's also something called an intrapreneur. That's someone that really likes the vision, likes someone to be the person that puts it together, but likes to help steer the ship and help build the mechanics. You know, it's like the people within Apple. You know, Steve Jobs was the visionary, but everyone else actually made the magic happen. Steve, as everyone knows, couldn't write code, but he knew what he wanted. But it was those other people that needed that direction, needed that vision. Okay, those are the intrapreneurs. Every entrepreneur needs an intrapreneur. If there's two entrepreneurs, they'll split or they'll implode. Okay. Every entrepreneur needs an intrapreneur to action their vision. And then you come down to the third one, the wantrepreneur. Now, those are the people that are sitting there going, wow, entrepreneurism. Wow, look at that. You know, I've seen it on Shark Tank. I've seen Mark Cuban. I've seen Damon John. I've seen, you know, Jay Abraham, Gary Vee, Tony Robbins. That's a sexy life. I want to be part of that. Every single one of those people I've mentioned have been broke. Every single one of those people have been screwed over, sued, laughed at, ripped off. Every single person's had it. In fact, until you've been screwed, laughed at, sued, ripped off, you're not an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs go through shit to make stuff shine. They absolutely do. And it's not for everyone. So before you sit there going, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, you may not be. It's like moaning at someone because they're left-handed. You know, it just freaking is. And for all of the entrepreneurs out there that are going, oh, I feel as though I dream too big and I think too much and, you know, I go down with my friends and I don't fit in. Well, let me break it to you, fella. You weren't designed to. Entrepreneurs are not supposed to fit in until we get together and we meet other people. If you want to know what level you play at, okay, whether you're an intrapreneur, we need those. Entrepreneurs, we need those. Wantrepreneurs, we need those. Someone's got to serve me a coffee. You know, that's the way it's got to be. Change the room you're in. Get into different groups. I have a Facebook group called An Entrepreneur's Advantage with Steve Sims. You've got this group for you. Get into groups where people challenge your ideas, support and challenge. And let me just rephrase this. Everyone likes cheerleaders. They look good in a skirt and they're great for the support. And, oh, you're lovely. They do shit in business, okay? The person that's sitting by the sidelines going, yeah, Steve, good for you, good for you. That's not good to me. I want the challenges. That's why I have friends like Jay that turn around and go, why are you doing that? Why you? Is that the best use of your energy and effort? Okay. What do you think you're going to achieve? To who and under what impact? Those people are challenging your conviction and your knowledge on what it is you're doing. And the amount of times I've had those kind of conversations and gone, hang on a minute, I never thought about that. Thank you very much. And I've been able to tighten that up before it leaks water when it hits the water. So that's what you need. You need challenges, and you can find those challenges by changing the room you're in, by even just finding a good Facebook community to go, hey, what do you think of this? And let people annihilate it. Because when they're annihilating it, they're doing it for your growth.
And I think that is such a key principle that I've picked up from being in your world. It seems to me that your primary driver is growth. because if I look at moments where I'd hesitate to be annihilated, it would probably because I have the stakes too high in terms of what it means about me or success or failure and how that reflects back on me. I'm not getting that from you. What I'm getting from you is growth is like the primary thing. So everything is in service to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but is there any growth without pain?
I mean, I guess not. Not that I've experienced.
No, I race motorcycles. I go around the corner really, really fast, and every now and then I fall off. And then I discover where my new level is. I go into a boxing match or a kickboxing match, and I suddenly get a kick in the head, and I suddenly realize that my guard's not good enough. I write a contract, and I suddenly find someone weasels through it, and I suddenly realize that, I can't write contracts very good. All growth comes from pain. You've just got to be thankful about that and learn from it.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm seeing right now, which is my goal every show is I want to see something new. I want to learn something new. And what I see in this is that growth in and of itself can be sneaky, because I can look at creating all kinds of stuff in my business. And I think by sort of nature, entrepreneurs are more high performing people, high achieving people. And what I'm starting to see is that can work in your favor. And it can also kind of have a dark side to it where like, it can really look like I'm growing. It can really look like I'm high performing, but there is this threshold that I can do where it's like just below painful. Like just a little safe, where other people are like, oh, that's great. Oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, like the cheerleaders, right? That's great. Yeah. I can see that, where I'm like, oh shit, that's true. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, no, you don't want that. You want people to get you going. I remember when I got offered, I got asked to write the book, and that's a whole story, but we won't go into that on this one. And I started to ghostwrite it. So I got interviewed, and you think the big stuff you do is the story. You think that's the thing that everyone's going to be interested in. But my ghostwriter, who was absolutely fantastic, Megan, turned around and he goes, well, what? Hang on a minute. You did this, but how did you get there? Mm-hmm. And because you learned from these little mistakes, you go, well, I just did this, and then I went to it, and they went, hang on a minute. Let's go back to those little things you skipped over. Why did you do that? And you go, well, that's because I did that because I did that once and that didn't work. So now I do. And they go, wow, there's the lesson. You turned left instead of turning right because that was the better route home. The prettier, more seeing. And you suddenly realize it's those little movements. As I say, it's the small hinges that swing a big door. It's the little stuff that's the growth. And today, you can actually challenge yourself. I'm going to help anyone out listening here. Start challenging the growth and opportunities within your mindset. Okay. So this is what I want you to do. Watch a different TV station tonight that you ever watch. Okay. When you go out for a meal, order an appetizer that you've never ordered before in your life. If you're going somewhere and you go to the bottom of your street and you turn left, turn right and go a different route. If you can start getting your mind to go, oh, we're doing things differently today. Guess what? Your mind starts seeing things differently today. And that's when the opportunities come out. Give you a prime example. How many times have you met a buddy of yours and they've gone, hey, do you like my car? Do you like my handbag? Do you like my, my watch? And you go, well, that's nice. I've never seen that before. And then the following day, what's the only thing you see? You see everyone's got that bloody bag, or, everyone's got the same color car. I bought a silver car that was like some kind of weird graphic on it. And then the following day, that's all I could bloody see, because our mind is open. And if you can start training it and not becoming repetitive, because when you're repetitive, you become sleepy. How many times have you driven home and then you've gone, God, I don't even remember that drive. How did I get here? Everything's so on autopilot, you've almost gone into a coma. So start getting your mind to act differently, to accept differently.
That's actually that's fucking brilliant, really, because it reminds me of something my coach says a lot, which is like, you can't create something fresh from the past. You're always just going to recreate some sort of small iteration of something that you've done before, which is, I guess, some kind of growth, but not the kind of growth that you're talking about. This idea of really come to things from a different place, a different perspective, and you're going to see things you don't see. We're such creatures of habit. We're such creatures of habit.
But we're not now. I'm going to stop you there because we've been given a beautiful opportunity. We were creatures of habit until the habit was thrown out of the field. Last year, we were taught new habits. Last year, we were taught new triggers. Last year made us different to every other year. Was COVID done to you or was it done for you? And if it's disrupted the way you look at things, the way you act, your perceptions, your values, I don't know anyone in the middle of COVID that was pissed off because they couldn't buy a new watch, or furious because they couldn't get the latest car or the latest, selfie on a jet or something like that. They all wanted to experience and to get back to communication. We've had our day-to-day disrupted. Don't be a freaking moron and put it back to the way it was before, okay? Relish it, change it, adapt it, be grateful of it, and ride it.
I mean, that is, it's so useful. This idea of like the new normal, that phrase has always kind of like nauseated me, but it's this opportunity to do things differently, to see things differently. I mean, I've always seen value in that idea, but the thing that's new to me and I think really interesting is that when you do this, you're going to see things you didn't see before just by nature of showing up differently to your life, like creating opportunity. You're not creating opportunity, you're seeing opportunity that you're missing.
Yeah,
because you're walking around, on your left foot first instead of your right.
It's already out there. It's the typical yellow car. You've never seen a yellow car until you see one, and then that's the only thing on the highway. You've got to train your mind to be open to those opportunities. And when you can see those opportunities, you can grab those opportunities. But all the time you're closed-minded into the kind of, well, this is how I've always done it, will be how you always do it.
And I can see the way that relates to what you said earlier about just get out there and do and try things. Because if you're not getting out there and you're doing and you're not trying things and you're over here in this like over planning phase, it's probably because you are stuck in some way of thinking that's similar. So is that my understanding that right, to see the connection between those?
Yeah, you're very accurate. Yeah, exactly.
When we first talked, one of the things that you mentioned was, and this is probably a lot about what we've been talking about, but is there anything else that feels really important about not overthinking so much? And I want to bring this into some of the examples that are in your book, because I think it's really important for the people who are listening, especially because they're entrepreneurs and they love big, sexy stuff. Some of the stuff that you've created, sending people down to the wreck of the Titanic, having Florence museums closed for private dinners, working with Sir Elton John, Elon Musk. Bridge the gap, if you can, a little bit more specifically around what action does it look like to go from an idea like, and you pick the example that you want. I'm just going to use this one in my head. Like the idea of someone, hey, I really want to go down to the Titanic. And you're like, okay. And then you call them up and you're like 3 Tuesdays later, you have it scheduled. So what does that really look like in practice for you?
Exactly as you said it. Like I had a client that wanted to get married in the Vatican by the Pope. So what should be my first thing? Should I start Googling? Should I start phoning up people in Idaho? No. Contact someone in Rome, because you've got to start getting the first thing. You've got to start getting going. See, I'm a great believer that stuff is done based on momentum. Okay. You've got to get the momentum going. And a lot of people don't. They sit back, they pour that coffee and they go, how am I going to do that? You ain't going to do it from your chair, mister. You've got to start doing it. You've got to start pushing it. You've got to get that momentum going. You've got to get people into your goal, into your belief, into your passion, into your project. And with that momentum, you're now picking up like a snowball. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and then crashes into what you want and decimates and conquers it. And that's the way it's got to be. So you joke about the Titanic thing. In the old days, when I used to do it, I had to find out how can I do it? Who can I contact? Well, should I contact an airport to go down to the Titanic? No. Should I start contacting the Navy? Should I start contacting deep sea research? Should I start contacting discovery places? And I start to find out who it is. That education of who to call then gets me to who I've got to call. So now if I wanted to do it, all I've got to do is text because I know the person I've got to communicate with. And the other good thing is, as you're building up these players, as you're building up these relationships, someone always knows someone. In fact, the people that helped me get people down into the Titanic were the exact same people that helped get civilians up into space. So do I want to send you to space? I can send someone a text this afternoon and get you booked once the check clears. Okay? Because I know the people, because I've had the momentum to ask them.
Mm-hmm. And what I heard really clearly was, should I start contacting this person? Should I start contacting this, which is very, 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 very different than Googling how to get people down to the Titanic. And I'm wondering too, I would imagine that every step informs the next one.
Oh, it does. It does. You see, the internet's fantastic, but it's also helped a lot of stupid people become stupider. So you've really got to be careful, not so much of the information you're receiving, but about the questions you're asking. And that's the real key point. And that comes right back down to the beginning of this podcast, whereas we need to focus on the problem itself, not solving the problem. Why is the problem there? So that's where you get your core competency, from asking the right questions, not just asking anyone.
So I think this is a great place for us to begin to sort of round off here towards the end. What does that look like inside of your head, asking the right questions?
Experience. I noticed very early on the people ask too many questions to people in vicinity. If you get a no, you're asking the wrong person or the wrong question. Okay? If you want to go to the Oscars, don't ask the valet boy, because he may be close to the front door of the Oscars, but he doesn't carry the authority to say yes. So in that situation, a lot of people ask too many people based on vicinity and not on ability. Okay? So I want to ask the right person the right question. And so when you go up to people, find out, first of all, before you even approach them, do they have the ability? Do they have the authority to make what you want happen? Okay? Then the next thing is, okay, what question do I need to ask? And that's where it starts getting interesting. If I said to you, hey, do you want to get together with a beer with me tomorrow night? Okay? I'm asking you a question that I stand a 50-50 chance of getting the answer I don't want. You know, do you want to have a beer with me tomorrow night? No, I can't make it. I've lost. Okay? It's very hard to come back from a no. But if I said to you, hey, do you want to have a beer tomorrow night? Would you prefer 7:30 or 8:30? You know, I'm now asking the question, which gives, now you still may say, well, actually tomorrow night is bad for me. Okay, what night works best for you? But if I'm rebounding off of a no, I'm rebounding off of a negative, and I'm also rebounding off of a finite, a definitive answer. No is a knee-jerk reaction. A lot of people will say no just out of panic. Hey, can I have this? No. They will just say no, and they don't even know why they said no. But if I say to you, can I have this on a Tuesday or Wednesday? And they go, no, they sound like a moron, you know? And so they end up having to rethink their answer. So ask the right person the right question.
I'm so pumped about this, because I heard two great things in that, which is, one is that, like, a no can just be a knee-jerk reaction. Like, no could just be nothing.
Yeah. And it quite often is, but people take it as a death punch. They go, well, they said no, I'm off, I tried. No.
Yeah, they take it personally. They must have said no because of me, versus like they said no because people say no. That's what people do. I love that. It's like a total free pass to just not hear the word. And then the second part is, I've heard you say before, ask the right people the right question, but I really like kind of framing it in my mind as, what will this question, like, what are the options that could come back to me from this question? And if it is yes, no, black, white, whatever, like that doesn't really give you a lot of space to move forward. So the right question isn't so much like there is a right question, but the right question being the right question format that's actually going to in some way move you forward.
Yep.
That's brilliant. I feel like we could do this for 3,000 hours and I could keep learning. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with? And the second sort of half of that question is, where can they find you if they want to know more from you?
Oh, I'm pretty easy. Steve D Sims everywhere. I'm on Instagram. I've got an Entrepreneur's Advantage with Steve Sims, which is my free Facebook group. Simsdistillery.com. Yeah, just head over to stevedsims.com. All my ingredients are there. You know, mix out of it and make out of it what you want. But I really just want people to try and do something that they're not used to doing. We are in a privileged position at this moment where every habit that we had has been distorted. Okay, it's your choice if you actually bring those bad habits back into your daily life, or if you use them as a chance to kind of like dispel them and create new triggers.
That's awesome. Thank you, Steve. This is great. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.